Good morning. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky. Those of you joining us in person, it really warms our hearts to see your smiles every single time we see you here. And those of you online, we greatly appreciate each and every one of you as well. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing to us on YouTube. It definitely helps us as we work on increasing our channels. Today we are talking about another phase that we're going to add into our wheel here. We are at Beltane. I got so excited about festivities that were going on at Beltane. I hadn't turned the wheel when we got to that point, but I have turned it now. As you can see, this beautiful sprouting grass moon, or the pink flowers moon, that was coming alive at the time when we were, that was at the end of April. Beltane was the very beginning of May, and now we are moving into our next moon phase that's coming up here. It's actually a full moon tonight, the 18th, and this beautiful moon, as you can see, is another one created by Man in the Moon Metalworks. This is the full flower moon. So you can see these wonderful columbine flowers. I love that Man in the Moon Metalworks really works hard to make things that are authentic to our area. A lot of the moon names that we use are from the Algonquin tribe, which was in Northern America. And this beauty here, you can see that the flowers are coming up lush and full and in abundance. The earth is very fertile, and you can see all of that wonderful foliage underneath as the flowers are climbing up high towards the sun, which is exactly what we are doing in life as well at this time. It's that time where we're moving kind of right into that height of springtime. We're almost into the time where we're coming into the summertime soon. And I'm just going to show you again without the background here. How beautiful is that? If you are interested in purchasing some of these moons, you can see they've set them all so they look like they're held within a beautiful full moon. Some of them even have the moon within the moon. If you are looking for getting the entire set, you can contact us about that. Or if you're interested in buying just certain moons that really speak to your heart, maybe it's your favorite moon of the year, or maybe it's a moon phase that really, a specific full moon that really resonates with you and what you want in your life or how you feel in life, definitely let us know. Man in the Moon Metalworks has offered to give us a portion of that to help continue what we are doing here at the center as well. But let's go right on into what this moon is all about. This is one of my moons that I really like because it's also my birthday month moon. So it's kind of a fun thing to look at what the moon is when you're born. This is going to be different than what your moon sign is if you're looking at astrology. The moon moves through its phases about every 3 days, much quicker than the sun does. The sun takes about 28 days to go through rotation. That's how you have Gemini that starts on the 21st, or between the 20th and the 22nd really, and then it turns into, I am drawing a blank, but then it goes into Leo after that. So I think it goes into Cancer. And then Leo. Yes, thank you. Perfect. And so the sun sign goes a lot slower. The moon, as you can imagine, we're seeing that come up and down every day in a quicker revolution as it just encircles our planet instead of the sun, and how we fit with that within the solar system. So this moon is the full flower moon. Some would also call it the corn planting moon, or the milk moon. As we talked about with the lambing season back on February 2nd, where we have Imbolc. That's where the ewes were just being born, one of those earliest animals to be born and starting to, milk was one of the things that we would use at that holiday, milk and honey. And then this moon, though, is where we have a lot more animals that are being born. We just had 5 cats that we had fixed this week because we wanted to prevent a bunch of extra kittens being born in the community. And a lot of animals that are in the wild are feeling that call, that charge, as we're coming out of the winter months, coming into this warmer time, which brings us into what would be called the milk moon. There's a lot of milk that's being produced this time of year as well. And the moon will be at its height in fullness at 5:11 p.m. tonight. That's Sunday, May 18th, 2019. And this is a time, as you can tell from each of those, the full flower moon, corn planting moon, milk moon, for fertility and for abundance. So things that you want to grow in your life. We talked a lot about how you plan in the winter and then you plant in the spring. Well, now we're kind of mid-spring. We're not too far off from where we're going to be going into summer up here. And so we're starting to see some of those early things that we planted really coming up into the fullness of fruition. We still have a lot of fertility going on within the ground and within our lives. And so it's a great time to think about what you want to create in your life. This whole season is about planting the seeds of what you want to create in your life. You don't want to get stuck in just thinking about what you want. You want to get out there and take action. Take the steps that you need to take. Think back on the goals that you made back at the beginning of the year, whether you set your goals at Samhain, which we're directly across the wheel from, or whether you set your goals kind of right in between here on the 1st of January. A lot of times in Western cultures, that's where we decide to set our goals for the year. So think back on what you wanted to create this year. Are you starting to see your plan develop? Do you have the steps down that you need to take so that as you work your way through this year, those things are going to come up and grow in your life? Are you starting to now take the action steps? Because at this point, you should have that plan laid out. You should know what you need to do, and you should definitely be doing those first steps already. You should be working probably on the second and the third steps of that plan so that you can start to see that, those first things you started to do, you can see some results coming in. Some plans take a little longer than others, but you should be starting to feel that push as you're working through those goals. This is a great time of year where the earth is awakening, the flowers are awakening, the trees are awakening. If you take a walk just even through your neighborhoods, you don't even have to go into the woods. If you live in an area like Michigan, at least, you can just walk through your neighborhood and see those trees all around you and the fact that they're budding. So many of the trees, if you look up, you'll notice they have flowers on the ends of their branches that will eventually turn into leaves. It never ceases to amaze me the way nature works and all of the beauty and the splendor that happens this time of year. If you think about that in your own life, it's kind of like as you plant those seeds, as you take those first steps to creating what you want, sometimes those first things you start to see rolling in, the first steps that are coming up and you're realizing, oh look, I did something, I'm starting to get the rewards. Those are so beautiful, just like those big flowers on the trees that are going to turn into those huge leaves that will be bigger than your head by the time fall comes. So think about what you want to create and take those steps. Really be doing the action that you need to do. The energy this time of year, as a general, is very joyful and playful. It's as though the earth is kind of coming out of its slumber. It's waking up. The ground is softening, just as it can be softening within your lives. So aspects of yourself that have maybe felt a little hardened, maybe some walls that you've had up, maybe some barriers. It might even be barriers within your own thinking, that it's time to let those walls crumble, let them fall down, let them soften so you can sprout up and be very full with what you want to create in your life, and let that joyfulness, let that playfulness really, really emerge within you. Sometimes this is called the grass sprouting moon, although that's usually reserved much more for the term of the month that was in April. Yes, it depends on what area you live in when the grass starts to really grow. But the trees are definitely budding. The birds are singing. The flowers are blooming. I think that you've probably noticed, some of you, if you've done those first cuts on your lawn. I've talked to a lot of people who said that they wanted to cut the lawn and then it rained, and then they wanted to do it and it rained again, so the grass got pretty long on a lot of us, and that kind of can signify what goes on in your life too. Sometimes we have things that we want to do. We want to take those first action steps, and then it feels like things get overwhelming around us. It can feel like those barriers or those obstacles, those challenges just keep growing like weeds around us. It gets a little harder. It doesn't look as pretty when you first start to clear them out of the way. Takes a little bit of extra work. This is the time of year to do that extra work, to really put in what you need to put in. You need to do that extra work in this kind of mid-spring area and again at the harvest. So it's kind of that balance between both sides of the world. Whatever is happening on this end, there's kind of a similar thing going on here. So when we come into this part of summer, there's a reason people call it the lazy days of summer. It's a nice time. Sometimes with those longer nights, we're able to have some more time to sit on the porch and relax, sip some tea or drink some lemonade. And so as you're doing that over here, that really balances with the opposite side of the year where you have these winter months. The winters where you kind of go in, you hibernate, you do your planning, but you get some extra rest in the process. So you might be sleeping more here, and you might be awake but enjoying the comfort of having it being a little calmer here. Get your work done now so you can have the time to enjoy those summer months, so you can have those extra hours to just relax and take it in. Sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of push as the ground is softening, as your barriers, your obstacles begin to soften, so you can create what you want to create within your life. Take some time to really listen to the birds that are singing outside and really notice what you're seeing in your own life that's mimicking what's going on in nature. Thinking about what is softening within your life, what's blooming within your life, what brings you joy within your life, where do you have to work hard within your life, and where you're going to get some of that extra rest. You might even be at this point of year planning some of your vacations for summer. That's a pretty common thing, so it takes a little bit of extra work as you're doing the planning, and then you can enjoy that into the summer. Really think about how this applies in all aspects of your life. If you work for an employer, it might be that you can put in some extra efforts during this time of year, and then you'll be able to reap those rewards. Who knows, maybe you'll get a raise as the time goes on later into the year. But the aspects, the energies are really wanting you to push a little bit farther with that joyful energy. So once we get into fall, the opposite side of the year, it's a bit more of the harder work. It's some longer hours, while right now there's definitely a joyfulness, a lightness with that harder work that we're doing. There's a note of fun, there's a note of romance that's going on within the moons of May. So it's a really good time in those aspects to maybe see what you can do to dote on your partner. Bring your friends together. Create some type of celebration and some gathering where you have everyone together and you can just enjoy the playfulness and the lightness. When you have everyone together, or maybe you're just wanting to do this with your partner, discuss what your plans are for the year. A lot of times people will just discuss some of the superficial aspects of their plans for the year, but maybe you can work it in to be a little bit deeper in the conversation. Go deeper, discuss what your goals are. Ask them what their goals are. Maybe you can even help encourage each other so that you can stay on point and get the work done to achieve your goals as a group of friends or maybe with your partner. But really think about what your goals are from the beginning of the year, what your goals are right now in the year. Sometimes those change from what we set previously, and we did realize that we want something different than what we originally wanted, and that is fine too. This is an important time of year to get out into nature, to really go get in contact with the earth. If you do gardening, maybe you want to take your shoes off and let your feet get right into the dirt and just feel the earth beneath your feet, or get down and feel the earth under your hands. maybe going out into one of the parks or into the woods and just spending some time. If you do Reiki, go do Reiki out in the woods. If you meditate, go meditate out in the woods. Go spend some time walking and just noticing what you hear, what you smell, what you see while you're out in nature, opening all of your senses and just noticing what energy comes around you. Maybe you'll see some of the wild animals that are out in the woods, or maybe you'll notice different trees or birds or whatever it is. You might just leave with a feeling that you have peace, that you feel more connected, that you feel balanced and centered with the earth. That energy, when you connect at this time of year, is really going to help carry you with your goals and your plans through the rest of the year. It's really important to go and just to connect with this beautiful planet that we happen to live on. Maybe your world is more about the water than the forest, so maybe you want to go out to the lake and spend some time on the water. Whichever element you're drawn to, go do it. Spend some time enjoying this blue marble that we live on. Have a little fun, splurge a little on yourself. And one of the other ideas we haven't talked about yet with all of the full moons is full moon water. This is a great moon if you want to charge up some water and make your own full moon water. It's very simple to do. There are many, many different ways to do it, and there are many purposes for it too. So you can use that full moon water to either create a wonderful bath for yourself that can be very cleansing for the body, the mind, and the spirit. If you don't take baths, you can do it as a foot bath, or you can make the full moon water to cleanse and charge your crystals, as long as they're not salt-based crystals, because it will cause some issues for your salt-based crystals. But it's a great thing to do to just kind of have in your repertoire to use. So several different ways you can do it. Because this is the full moon, the full flower moon, I would recommend getting flowers involved with it. So go ahead and fill up a jar or whatever type of vessel you want to use for your full moon water, and then add whatever you want to add to it. Some people like to add some crystals into the base of the vessel. This is a perfect moon to go pick some wildflowers and then put either the wildflowers or just the petals, depending on what you want and what it looks like to you, maybe what type of flower it is, and put those either petals or put those flowers into the vessel. And then some people like to add some essential oils to it as well. What a great time to add rose oil to your full moon water if you wanted to add that flowery scent to it, or you could add some rosemary essential oil, whatever types of oils you want. But it's really nice if you want to coincide it with what the moon is that you're charging it under. Some people like to add a little bit of extra salt to the water too. That can have a very strong purifying aspect when you add the salt. I tend to use either sea salt or Himalayan salt, either of those, or you can use just regular table salt. There are no real rules. It's all about your intent. It's all about what you're wanting to create. So gather your supplies, put them all into your vessel, and then go out under the full moon. Again, keeping in mind, Eastern time, it's completely full at its maximum at 5:11 p.m. But you can, go on either side of that. You're not going to see a lot of the moon necessarily. It depends on what the sky looks like. You might see it, but you might not feel like you're getting the fullness of the moon when it's daylight. So if you want to do it during the day, or if you prefer to do it at night, really that's up to you. But think about what your intentions are for this. So for me, what I would do is put my intentions of it being about abundance, about fertility, about joyfulness, playfulness, getting ready to have some extra energy poured into it to help give me that extra oomph for what I want to do, for the extra hard work that comes this time of year, while keeping that lightness, keeping that joy. So each of the things you're adding into that vessel, just really think about your intent. Think about what you would like them to do for you, how you would like to maybe bless the area around you with it as well. And then go out under the full moon and just holding that vessel within your hands, thinking about your intention, keeping it very positive, thinking about the joyfulness of what you want the water to contain, and then maybe holding it up to the moon, looking at the moon, and imagining those rays of the moonlight just streaming down onto that bottle of water. And then I usually prefer to just leave that vessel outside overnight so the entire phase of the moon can just continue pouring its energy into it throughout the night. We'll have a lot of energy by the time morning comes. As dawn is waking up and the sun is starting to rise, you can go gather your moon water, or whenever you wake up if you're not waking up at dawn. Again, there's no rules, it's okay. It's all about your intent. But just really letting it charge under that energy for the whole night. And then when you bring it in, you can use it, as I mentioned, pour it into your bath water, or you might use it to sprinkle over your crystals, or maybe pour it over the crystals that you want to charge up. You might want to cleanse your crystals first and then charge them with that full moon water. You can even use it as a facial steam if you feel like you have some allergies or something going on that you want to just kind of cleanse, detoxify, clear it out. Just get the water really hot. Pull the flower petals out first before you heat the water, and then just put a towel over your head over the steamy water, and it'll really help open up your sinuses. It'll help to clear, detoxify. It'll feel really, really great. If you're doing it as a steam, you might want to add in a little peppermint or some eucalyptus or some of those minty oils to help open up the sinuses as well. A little goes a long way with some of those, like peppermint oil. But there's so many different things that you can do with the moon water. If you are adding in things like the flowers, keep in mind that those will expire a little bit quicker than if you're just doing essential oils, crystals, salt, and water together. So you'll want to keep in mind that you'll want to either pull the flower petals out after it's done charging, or use it within just a few days. So it's a great way to just kind of capture that full moon energy and to be able to use it for a longer time within your life. The full moon's magic is very, very fertile this time of year. Just imagine it flowing into you, knowing that it can cleanse you, can heal, it can empower. It's a wonderful time to bring in that abundance. If you feel like you don't have as much joy in your life that you would like to have, or you feel like you've maybe lost that childhood spark of playfulness, this is a great moon to capture that energy and really use that within yourself. This moon, it's an interesting fact, is also considered to be a blue moon. Now, whenever we've talked about the blue moons before, a blue moon is typically, over the last few centuries, been where when you have two moons in 1 month, the first moon will hold the meaning of whatever the month is, and the second moon that month is considered a blue moon. The blue moon is usually a month where you can wish for whatever you want. Instead of it being tied to what the meaning of the moon is, the blue moon gives you like a full wish of whatever it is that your heart desires that month. This blue moon has a little bit of a different definition. So traditionally, many centuries ago, they would reference the moons by their seasons instead of the calendar months. The calendar months are kind of a made-up way that we've developed to track time, as opposed to the seasons, which are very consistent if you're just following the sun. So for this definition, it goes by the 4 solstices and equinoxes. So you have the winter solstice across from the summer solstice. You have the spring equinox and the autumnal equinox. So if there were 4 moons, often there's 3 moons within each of those seasons. But if there were 4 moons, say from the spring equinox to the summer solstice, then the 3rd moon in that phase would be considered the blue moon, which makes it interesting because logically I would think the 4th moon would be the blue moon because that would be the one that was unexpected. But it's only if there are 4 moons, then the 3rd moon is considered the blue moon. And so this, because we had a full moon very, very close to the spring equinox, this would actually be considered a blue moon. So we had the equinox on the 20th, there was a full moon on the 21st, then April 19th we had the sprouting grass or the pink flower moon, Now we have the blue moon, which is the full flower moon on May 18th, and then on June 17th is when we'll have our strawberry moon. So you might be able to consider thinking about what you want to wish for as well. And just, it's an interesting way to see how they would calculate that in the past. It happens about 7 times every 76 years that you will get this blue moon within the season. The moon is also in Scorpio this time, which can cause us to kind of delve deeper into our emotions. Scorpio, the Scorpio aspect can really bring in a lot of emotion, a lot of kind of deep undercurrent of thoughts, and a very emotional sign. And so this can be one that really helps you to dig deeper, to think about maybe what you've been not looking at. What have you been maybe running from, or what emotions do you have that it would be good to think about, to sense, to feel, to go deeper within yourself, and to know that as you're feeling those, that that's okay. Don't get swept up in your emotions. It's always empowering to know what aspects the moon is in, because then you hold your power, you take your power back, and you don't allow yourself to be swayed by what a planet is doing. Instead, you can recognize, so Moon in Scorpio is going to bring up some deeper emotions. Maybe I'll be aware of that. I'll have a little bit more patience with people and be on the lookout if people are being a little bit more emotional. Just know that it's okay. Have some compassion, have some extra love, and look within yourself to see what maybe you need to resolve within your own emotions so that you can move a little bit farther in yourself and in life. You might feel a strong desire to connect more with people in a really meaningful way, which again flows right in line with what I was talking about, bringing your friends together, discussing with your partner, discussing with your friend what your goals are for this year, and maybe encouraging each other along with that. Really get maybe even into the why behind what their goals are to help spark that passion and that creativity and that push to keep going forward. The moon will be moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius, and while it's waning, which may inspire some more positivity in those within yourself, and also spark your intuition. Sagittarius is a very intuitive sign, so it might be that those emotions that you're kind of delving into now, you can use to fuel that creativity, discover why you want to do what you want to do, clear some of those emotions, and then really trust your gut instinct to know what your next moves are. Sometimes with Sagittarius, you might feel the courage to take some risks that you wouldn't have taken otherwise, based on those intuitive instincts that you're feeling. And so I hope this has helped you to bring a little bit of enlightenment, a little bit of thought into what we are going through with our current phase. The full moon in Scorpio for May, that beautiful full flower moon. Go out in your garden. Maybe if you have some moonflowers, that'd be a great thing to have right now, because you could see the full moon flowers blooming. Some of those flowers will stay blooming through the night. Some of the flowers close up at night and open during the day. So go out, take a look in your garden, or look in the gardens, look in the parks that are around you, and really look closely at the flowers that are in your life. And as you look at those literal flowers in your life, think about what flowers you have in your life that are blooming that aren't necessarily coming out of the ground. Do you have special gems with some of the friends that you have in your life? Or is your partner somebody that you've really been thankful for? Have you been letting them know how much they matter to you? This is a great time. Abundance, fertility, joyfulness, happiness, playfulness. Allow those to flourish within your life and enjoy this wonderful May full flower moon.